bill that has been introduced to Congress on December 11, 2013 is the Federal Abolition Act of 2013. This bill repeals the death penalty for a wide range of offenses. Some offenses include espionage, possession of controlled substance, and treason. This bill prohibits sentencing for an individual to death for any violation of federal law, no matter how severe the crime. Instead, the individual will be sentenced to life imprisonment without the opportunity of a shortened sentence, such as being placed under parole. As a high schooler, this topic of research is not very common for people around my age. The reason I chose this bill is because I found the issue very interesting ever since an advocate against the death penalty spoke at our school. Although I do not agree with all of her views, her strong stance against the death penalty sparked my interest and caused me to look further into the issue. For centuries, the death penalty has been viewed as a very common form of punishment. The first recorded moment occurred in the 18th century BC. It was not until recently where the notion of sentencing a person to death became very controversial. In 1972, the Supreme Court ruled the death penalty to be inhumane and ceased all sentencing to death, no matter the crime. It was not until 1976 that the Supreme Court ended the 4-year moratorium and reinstated the use of the death penalty. However, to this day, the subject of capital punishment still stirs strong emotions throughout America. Many argue the fact the United States is the only English-speaking Western democracy to continue the use of the death penalty. Supporters of capital punishment feel that if someone kills a man, then they deserve to die. In my opinion, the death penalty is grotesque and barbaric while robbing any man of their humane right to live. Although the topic continues to be discussed, I feel that capital punishment should be abolished as soon as possible. Throughout history, many people who have been placed on death row may plead their innocence when they truly are guilty. However, the story of Greg Wilhoit is different than most. On June 1, 1985, Greg's wife was found dead, leaving him to raise 2 little girls. About 1 year later, Greg was arrested and tried for the murder of his wife. Although his family had hired a lawyer with a great reputation, this lawyer had developed a drinking problem, which caused him to eventually lose the case for Greg. The judge had sentenced him to death. At the sentencing, the judge told Wilhoit that he was to die by lethal injection, but also included this statement: "If that fails, we'll kill you by electrocution. If the power goes out, we'll hang you. If the rope breaks, we'll take you out back and shoot you." This shows the brutality that Greg was shown from the majority of the people. Once on death row, Wilhoit was assigned another attorney who was completely convinced of Greg's innocence. The attorney, Mark Barrett, worked constantly for 4 years to eventually get the case retried. Once the second trial came around, the judge immediately ruled Wilhoit innocent on lack of evidence and he was free to go. Although the outcome was good, Greg still lost 8 years of his life. This ruined his chance to raise his children while also causing him to suffer from PTSD. He now lives in Sacramento, surviving solely off social security checks because his PTSD prevents him from ever finding a job. This shows the consequences that the death penalty can have on a man's life, even when the verdict never follows through. Although I am strongly against the death penalty, I must admit there are both pros and cons to abolishing this law. For example, some pros to abolishing the death penalty are capital punishment is a very extreme measure and completely violates a human being's right to life. The death penalty in no way dissuades criminals from committing terrible acts. Statistics have proven that the death penalty has not lowered the murder rate in America, which only means that the death penalty is not doing the only job it is supposed to. Also, the death penalty is very hypocritical for the criminals that have committed the murder. It does not make sense for a nation to denounce murder by committing the same exact act. On the other hand, some cons include it acts as an ultimate warning for people considering to commit very extreme illegal acts such as murder. The death penalty can act as closure for the victim or the victim's family. This can cause a sense of security for all those affected by the crime. And many feel it is the only option for someone that has also committed murder. It is the ultimate punishment for their crime. Although there are many points to both sides of the argument, personally, I feel that the pros outweigh the cons and the bill should be passed to abolish capital punishment. Now to review. I'm following a bill that is attempting to discontinue the use of the death penalty in America. Although the bill is still in its early stages and has only been introduced, I feel that it has a strong chance of being passed simply because of the views of the majority of the public throughout America. In my opinion, the death penalty is an unnecessary punishment that is too harsh and extreme no matter what the crime committed. For example, even if a man had committed a murder, by sentencing him to death row, the government is doing the exact same act that caused the man to be in that circumstance. Overall, the death penalty robs any man of the basic human right to life and in no way has proven to be successful in lowering the murder rate throughout America. Thank you for watching, and make sure to follow my blog for further information on this bill.